We are SHP.
We are SHP.
We are SHP.
If you wanted to volunteer with yourself or your kids and your family, our website is shpbeds.org. And once you're there, you can find a chapter near you. And if there's no chapter near you, you can also find a way to start a chapter.
We're building beds for children. We are SHP.
Welcome to Anchored and Sent. I'm Ken, and let's talk about where God shows up in our everyday life. Hey, welcome back to Anchored and Sent, and yes, I am finally back. It's been a little longer than I planned since the last episode. Man, I've been busy. I mean, work's been crazy. We're getting the nonprofit going, the Crosby Hub for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. I've been running all over creation, with family stuff, right? And let me tell you, apparently, the ants decided they wanted to be a part of the podcast studio as well. And let me tell you, these are not your normal ants. These are premium ants, right? I mean, I'm serious. I had a really, really bad ant infestation right here in my little office in the backyard where I record the show, right? And so in addition to everything else I had going on, I've been at war with ants. And I'm pretty sure they were winning for a while. I mean, look, I would bomb the office, and they came back. So I bombed it again. I put out these little bait traps that I found. And at some point, I actually expected to walk in here and find a tiny little white flag on my microphone, right? But after multiple bombings, traps, and what I can only describe as this prolonged military campaign, right? I have reclaimed the studio, and my Reese's Big Cup is no longer somehow walking through the front door by itself. So here we are. We're back in action. If you happen to hear something crawling across the mic during this episode, man, we're just going to keep it going. And why are we going to do that? Because this is where we do it live, where there's no editing. So, man, I will tell you, the ant situation fits perfectly with life lately. I mean, let me tell you, I've been all over the place. And that's what we're going to dive into this episode. And let me just start by saying that when I say being all over the place, I don't mean that in a bad way. There's actually a lot of good things going on. And so, we're getting really, really close to delivering our first beds as the new Crosby Hub with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And as I've mentioned in prior episodes, we are starting this thing from the ground up. So every time I think, okay, we're getting there, I discover 6 more things that we need to do. And my buddy Colton, who's also helping me get this off the ground, he does the same. And so work on the docks has been busy, family stuff, school, things around the house and people I need to call, right? There's emails I need to answer, things I need to order, and things I need to finish, things I need to start. And then there's things I forgot about until right now while I'm talking about the other things. And if I've lost you already, well, that's kind of how my brain's been working. And that's really been my problem lately. It's not that I don't know what needs to be done. I know way too much that needs to be done, right? And some mornings I just wake up and I think, okay, where in the world do I start? And then I'll start doing something. And then 5 minutes later, I remember something else. And so I go do that, and then while I'm doing that, something comes through on my phone. So now I start doing something like completely different. And an hour later, I'm thinking, what was I doing in the first place? It doesn't help that that sleep hasn't exactly helped either. I mean, there's been several nights lately where I've gotten 3 to 4 hours sleep. And so you've got all this stuff bouncing around in my head. I'm running 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And then I sit down and think, all right, Ken, let's be creative. Let's come up with something for the next episode. And guess what? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, come on, man. I always got something to talk about, especially when it comes to Jesus, right? And that's right there. Right there. That's when it hit me. That's exactly what I needed to talk about. I mean, surely I'm not the only person who has times where life is good, but there's just a lot of happening all at the same time. And so a little week ago, let's start there. A little week ago, my son and I had quite the experience that pretty much summed up everything I'm talking about. And let me tell you, it involved buying a truck. Well, let's just say we thought there was a truck. So check this out. My son is getting ready to start a new job, which I accidentally posted on Facebook that his boss is on. So that was a big oopsie, and hopefully he didn't see that. But with his new job, he needs a new truck. He's going to be driving around in it, driving with clients and things, and he's got this modified Dodge that I love, but, it's got all kinds of modifications. It smells funny, and you just don't want to put a client in there. You might sit on a fish hook or duck guts or something, right? So anyways, we start looking around, or actually he's been looking around, and then we started talking about it, and I was like, man, me and your mom have been talking. We would love to at least get the walkout expense covered for you, right? So anyways, we started talking about what he wants and why, and so he sends me a link to one of the trucks he's been looking at. And so when I clicked on it, I said, I'm gonna talk to these guys, because there it is. You don't want to really sit on these deals because trucks go pretty fast nowadays. So I opened the link and I start looking at it. And so far, man, we're off to a great start. And so we started asking conversations about I started asking conversations about the truck. And Gavin, he also told me, this thing is, well, let me back up, actually. Me and Gavin are talking about this truck. I'm looking at the link. I'm clicking on stuff. And then I tell him he needs to at least find out. Oh, wait. I called the guy. So I'm telling you, it's one of those weeks. I called the guy, found out what needs to be done to get the expense to walk off. And he even told me that the truck wasn't there. It was somewhere in Arkansas, but he could have it transferred there in Tyler. So I called Gavin back, said, man, you need to get on a phone call with this guy and just talk to him. You need to fill out some paperwork about transferring the truck. And so that's kind of where it all started. And mind you, on the website, it says can transfer this truck. Okay, so let's move forward. So Gavin goes to fill out all this paperwork. He sends it. And then we're told that they can't transfer the truck. So we're like, okay, well, they can't transfer it, even though it's on the website. Let's go to Arkansas. If you like it that much, let's go to Arkansas where it's at, and let's just go there. And so I was like, but make sure you call them first and make sure it's on that lot and it's still available. So when he calls, they're like, yeah, we don't have that truck. And I'm telling you, my son is really hype about this truck. It's got everything he wants. It's at a really good price. And so at this point, he's pretty bummed about it. And actually I was too. For one, I thought we were going to get a trip to Arkansas together. But anyways, he said, actually, I'm looking this thing up and it's somewhere in Louisiana. Or that's where everybody thinks it is right now. And so just to recap this whole thing, here we are, we're sitting in Texas. I'm in Houston. He's about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours away in BM Wheeler, right outside Tyler, Texas. We're looking at a truck that's supposed to be in Arkansas that can transfer to Tyler, Texas. Arkansas don't even have it. And somewhere it's now in Louisiana. And we're trying to figure out how to buy this thing. And then we find out that the pictures we've been looking at all this time on their website, it looks really good. Well, they're actually the factory marketing packages or pictures. And I know what you're thinking, like that should be pretty obvious, but I don't know, it really wasn't. So anyways, we got all these states involved, and then somehow along the line, we actually discovered that the link that my son sent me was actually sent to the wrong truck that he wanted. Now, mind you, he said he liked the Superman package. It was like blue with red, and the one I was looking at, it was like solid white, and I didn't put two and two together. So the link he said was bad. I was chasing the wrong truck in the first place. So this was just a big mess. So I'm talking to a guy that really has nothing to do with the truck that I found. I think you get it, right? I mean, the whole thing was just a disaster. So long story short, he starts looking again. I was like, just keep looking. Maybe there's something out there, maybe look outside of Tyler. Dallas is close, Houston. And my son's like, duh. I mean, there's a lot more places to look at. So he finds one in Dallas. It had the same package. It had real pictures, and actually it had more on it than what the other truck had. And this guy, check it out. He showed a video of it. So I'm like, oh, we got to go see this guy. He actually sent Gavin a video of the inside and out of it, saying, come on out, let's test drive this thing. So anyways, I drive up on Friday night after work. We go to the dealership right outside Dallas. And from that point on, everything went really smooth. So I say all this, as crazy of all of that was, I got to spend time with my son. He's 23, about to be 24. He's married to a wonderful wife who comes from a great family. And they all love Gavin. And so what dad could ask for anything more? I mean, here he is. He's getting ready to start a new job. He's got his own life. And so these days where dad and son just jump in a vehicle and go do something together, usually we get in trouble or whatever, they're just not happening anymore. So I enjoyed, just being able to talk, to laugh, to remember how every time we do something, there's always something. We never do something exactly right the first time. And we made fun of this truck that apparently went on vacation to Louisiana without telling anybody, right? And of course, along the way, we fart a few times. We try to top each other's fart. And then we, of course, drank way too many energy drinks. We're just bonding. And so that really is my God sighting this week. It wasn't this like big spiritual moment, but it was just time with my son. And I think I've mentioned that even in the past couple of episodes, but those moments are just wonderful. And I think sometimes I just move so fast looking for where God's doing something that I miss the simple things. I'm looking for the big moments to talk about. And I'm telling you, sometimes it is just a good day with your kid. Every moment where you feel love and joy, that is God. That is God. The fact that I even have a son, the fact we even got to do what we were doing, that is God. And so the other thing that stuck with me was how much this whole truck situation felt like everything else going on lately. I mean, go this direction and then wait. No, go over here. Okay, handle that. wait, something changed. Not go back. And after a while, you don't even know which direction you were even originally headed. And that's pretty much where my head has been. And it got me thinking about Matthew chapter 11. There's a verse in there a lot of Christians know that comes from verse 28. It's where Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." I can't tell you how many times I've heard that verse. But this time, as I always, different times I read verses, things just always just hit me differently. So I went over the whole section, not just a verse this time, because I knew the verse had popped in my head, but I wanted to read, more of the context around it. And I noticed something I didn't really connect before. Right before Jesus says that, he's talking about people who think they've got everything figured out. Verse 25, he says, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children." And then a few verses later, he says, "Come to me." And I sat there and I was just thinking, that's interesting. Because I am definitely a figure it out person. Something goes wrong at work, I figure it out. Something needs to happen with sleep and heavenly peace, getting started, I figure it out. Something breaks at my house, I figure it out. My son sends me a link to a truck that we can't locate that's not even the right link. Well, apparently we're going to figure that out too. And that's just how I'm wired. And most of the time, it's not a bad thing, right? But I can also get myself into this place where I feel like I've got to have an answer for everything. I've got to know what comes next. And I'm the guy who does it live, but there's these moments where I've got to know. I've got to get everything lined out. And here's Jesus talking about how the people who think they've got it all figured out can completely miss what's right in front of them. Then he basically says, just come here. And I like that. Because he doesn't say, hey, Ken, get your list finished and then come see me. Thank goodness, right? Because honestly, we would never talk, right? And he doesn't say, Ken, go figure everything out first. He just says, come to me. And then I found something else in there that I thought was pretty cool. The next thing Jesus says is, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Now, when I hear yoke, and I've preached on this several times, I picture this big wooden thing they put on an ox, right? And that's obviously the picture Jesus is using. But I started looking into it a little bit more. And in that world, that time period, talking about a yoke also connected to somebody's teaching. Basically, whose teaching are you following? Whose way are you learning? So when Jesus says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, there's more than just, hey, you're tired, come take a break. He's saying, come, learn a different way to do this. That grabbed my attention, right? Because Jesus doesn't say he's going to remove everything I have to do. I mean, I wouldn't complain if he did. I mean, I'll be honest. I wouldn't mind waking up tomorrow and finding out every email had answered itself. That'd be amazing. I might freak out a little bit because I'd think it was AI or I got, hacked or something, but it'd be amazing. It'd be great if the Crosby Hub was all set, ready to go. I have donations for the rest of the year, volunteers lined up. It'd be great. You know, every ship on the dock is where it's supposed to be. There's no delays. We have full docks. My homework is all done for seminary. And the grass somehow cuts itself. And every ant within 5 miles of this office has received a word from the Lord to go somewhere else. Amen. That would be fantastic. but that's not what Jesus says, friends. He says, "Learn from me." And then he says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Makes me think. Maybe the problem isn't always how much I've got going on. Maybe sometimes it's how I'm carrying it. Because I got a bad habit of trying to carry stuff that hasn't even happened yet. I mean, I'm working on today's stuff while thinking about tomorrow's stuff, while remembering something from yesterday that I forgot, while worrying about something next week. No wonder my brain doesn't know where to start. And you know, I'm trying to live about 4 days at the same time. Maybe that's what doctors call ADHD, right? But I'm telling you, that's where my head's been, and it's been there a lot. And so here's another thing that makes this part of Matthew so interesting. Right after this, Matthew moves into chapter 12. And what starts happening? Jesus and his disciples get into it with the Pharisees over the Sabbath. So his disciples, they're hungry and they're picking grain. The Pharisees are watching them and say, hey, they're doing something they shouldn't be doing on the Sabbath. And then Jesus heals a man on the Sabbath, and they're all upset about it. And I thought, man, that's interesting. Jesus just got through saying, come to me, I'll give you rest, learn from me. And then the very next stories are about people who had turned rest itself into another thing you had to get right. You know, they had rules about the rules. They had rules about the rules, right? Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. Here's how you have to do it. And then do it that way. And then here's this. And Jesus comes along and basically reminds them, you're missing the whole point. That I can relate to. Because give me something that's supposed to help me slow down, and I'll probably find a way to put it on a checklist. And then I can say, okay, Ken, relax. And I'm like, okay, got it. What time, how long do I need to put that on the calendar? Did I relax correctly? Did I get enough relaxing done? That's where my mind would go, right? And so now I'm stressed because I'm behind on relaxing. And I'm just, I hope you can follow all this. I'm just trying to explain how my mind works. Here I am stressed about how I'm going to relax. Just like every night, I'm stressing that I'm not going to sleep and I got to wake up at 5 a.m. This is ridiculous. But we do stuff like that, don't we? And I think that's why this whole section of Matthew just hit me different this time. It's not just Jesus handing me another thing to do, right? It's Jesus saying, come here, learn from me. You don't have to carry everything the way you've been carrying it. And that's really where I'm at. I still have a lot going on. And this episode isn't going to end and suddenly that list just disappears. I'm going to hit stop recording and probably remember 3 things I need to do. Sleep in Heavenly Peace is getting ready to start delivering beds for the first time. Work's not slowing down. I've got seminary around the corner. I've got family things to take care of. I've got all the normal stuff that everybody has. And I chose a lot of this. And I want to do these things. And actually, I'm super excited about it. So this isn't me saying I need to quit doing everything. Not even close to that, actually. I just don't have to do everything right now. As I'm saying that, I'm even thinking, well, if I don't get this done right now, yada, yada, yada. But I don't have to do it right now. What's in front of me? Do that. Then what's next? Do that. And at the same time, quit acting like spending time with God is another thing I need to squeeze onto that list. So maybe that's where I'm getting off track. Maybe that's where I have to start. Come to me. It's pretty simple. And maybe that's where I'll leave this episode with. If you've been all over the place lately too, I get it. Maybe life is bad. Maybe life is actually really good and there's just a whole lot of it happening. Either way, pay attention. Because God may be showing up in those everyday places. For me, one of those places was riding down the road with my son looking for a truck. It was just time spent with him. And then this little reminder from Matthew. I don't have to have everything figured out. I don't have to carry tomorrow today. And I don't have to get everything done before I come to Jesus. I can just come. Let's join together in prayer. Lord, I just want to pray over anyone and everyone who may be listening to this podcast. I'm also praying over myself that when things just seem overwhelming, whether they're good or bad, that we just slow down and we come to you. That's where it should always start. And I'm so task-driven that even you become a spot on my checklist, Lord. If there's anyone else like that listening, Lord, I pray that we find a way to make you priority. Remember that following you, we can find a better way to handle all the things that we love doing all at the same time. It's just how we handle it is what's important. We just need to realign. And it all begins with coming to you, Lord. And if somebody's listening and actually there's a lot of bad going on, it's the same thing. One thing at a time, and it begins with you. Lord, let the Holy Spirit just move in our lives every day in every situation. And let us just feel your closeness and let it truly transform who we are so that we can become more Christ-like. So that we are so connected to the vine that you are a priority over everything. And that really will lighten our burden. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Friends, the studio is back. My son has a truck. The ants have hopefully moved on. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff to do. So I'm going to go figure out where to start. I'll catch you next time on Anchored and Sent. I hope you have a blessed week. And don't forget to send me your God sightings. I would love for you to email them at anchoredandsent@gmail.com. Catch you next time. See ya.